your cooperation. Now, I want you to remain at home where I can reach you at any moment, for the rest of the day. I'll call you later." He listened to Goode babble his gratitude for a while, then terminated the call and hung up. Then he transferred the Colt .38 to the side pocket of his coat, picked up one of the sheets on which he had been listing the collection, and sat for almost 15 minutes pretending to study it, keeping his eyes shifting from the hall door to the spiral stairway and back again. Finally, the hall door opened and Anton Varcek came in. Rand half rose, covering the check from his side pocket. Varcek came over and sat down in an armchair near the desk. He was looking more than ever like Rudolf Hess. Rudolf Hess on the morning of the beer hall putsch. "Colonel Rand," he began, "there has, within the last half hour, been a most important development. I'm at a loss to define its significance, but its importance is inescapable." Rand nodded. He had been expecting somebody to give birth to an important development. The steps toward gunfire were progressing in logical series. "Well," he smiled encouragingly, "what happened?" "After you and the ladies left the dining room," Varcek said, "Fred Dunmore turned to me and apologized for harboring unjust suspicions of me in the matter of Lane Fleming's death. He said that he had been unable to understand who else could have murdered Lane, until you had pointed out to him that the house could have been entered from the garage, and the gunroom from the library. Then, he said, he had had a conversation with some unnamed gentleman at the party last evening, and had learned that Lane had discovered that Humphrey Goode was deceiving him, and had been about to have him dismissed from his position with the company, and to sever his personal connections with him." "The devil, now!" Rand gave a good imitation of surprise. "What sort of jiggery-pokery was Goode up to?" "Fred said that his informant told him that Lane had proof that Goode had accepted a bribe from Arnold Rivers to misconduct the suit which Lane was bringing against Rivers about a pair of pistols he had bought from Rivers. It seems that Goode was Rivers' attorney, also, and had been involved with him in a number of dishonest transactions, although the connection had been kept secret." "That's a new angle, now," Rand said. "I suppose that he killed Rivers in order to prevent the latter from incriminating him." "Why didn't Fred come to me with this?" he asked. "Eh?" Evidently, Varcek hadn't thought of that. "Why, I suppose he was concerned about the possibility of repercussions in the business world. After all, Goode is our board chairman, and maybe he thought that people might begin thinking that the murder had some connection with the affairs of the company." "That's possible, of course," Rand agreed. "And what's your own attitude?" "Colonel Rand, I cannot allow these facts to be suppressed," the Czech said. "My own position is too vulnerable. You've showed me that. Except for the fact that somebody could have entered the house through the garage, the burden of suspicion would lie on me and Fred Dunmore." "Well, do you want me to help with it?" Rand asked. "Yes, if you will. It would be helping yourself, also, I believe," Varcek replied. "Fred is downstairs now, in the library. I suggest that you and I go down and have a talk with him. Maybe you could show him the folly of trying to suppress any facts concerning Lane's death." "Yes, that would be both foolish and dangerous." Rand got to his feet, keeping his hand on the .38 Colt. "Let's go down and talk to him now." They walked side by side toward the spiral, Rand keeping on the right and lagging behind a little, lifting the stubby revolver clear of its pocket. Yet, in spite of his vigilance, it happened before he could prevent it. A lance of yellow fire jumped out of the shadows of the stairway, and there was a soft cough of a silenced pistol, almost lost in the click-click of the breech action. Rand felt something sledgehammer him in the chest, almost knocking him down. He staggered, then swung up the Colt he had drawn from his pocket and blazed 2 shots into the stairway. There was a clatter and the sound of feet descending into the library. He rushed forward, revolver poised, and then a shot boomed from below, followed by 3 more in quick succession. "Okay, Jeff," Ritter's voice called out. "War's over." He managed, somehow, to get down the steep spiral. The little .25 Webley and Scott was lying on the bottom step. He pushed it aside with his foot and cautioned Varcek, who was following, to avoid it. Ritter, still looking like the perfect butler in spite of the .380 Beretta in his hand, was standing in the hall doorway. On the floor, midway between the stairway and the door, lay Fred Dunmore. His tan coat and vest were turning dark in several places, and Rand's own detective special was lying a few inches from his left hand. "He came in here and shut the door," Ritter reported. "I couldn't follow him in, so I took a plant in the hall. When I heard you blasting upstairs, I came in just in time to see him coming down. You winged him in the right shoulder. He dropped the .25, and he had your gat in his left hand. When he saw mine, he threw one at me and missed. I gave him 3 back for it. See result on floor." "Uh-huh. You'd have gotten away if you hadn't been on the job," he told Ritter. Then he picked up his own revolver and holstered it. After a glance which assured him that Fred Dunmore was beyond any further action of any sort, he laid the square-butt detective special on the floor beside him. "You did all right, Dave," he said. "Now, nobody's going to have a chance to bamboozle a jury into acquitting him." He thought of his recent conversation with Humphrey Goode. "You did just all right," he repeated. "So it was Fred, then," he heard Varcek behind him say. "Then he was lying about this evidence against Goode." The Czech came over and stood beside Rand, looking down at the body of his late brother-in-law. "But why did he tell me that story, and why did he shoot at us when we were together?" "Both for the same general reason." Rand explained about the 2 pistols and the planned double killing. "With both of us dead, you'd be the murderer, and I'd be a martyr to law and order, and he'd be in the clear." Varcek regarded the dead man with more distaste than surprise. Evidently, his experiences in Hitler's Europe had left him with few illusions about the sanctity of human life, or the extent of human perfidy. Ritter holstered the Beretta and got out a cigarette. "I hope you didn't leave your lighter upstairs," he told Rand. Rand produced and snapped it, holding the flame out to his assistant. "Dave," he lectured, "the perfect butler always has a lighter in good working order. Lighting up the master is part of his duties. Remember that the next time you have a butling job." Ritter leaned forward for the light. "Dunmore was a better shot with his right hand than he was with his left," he commented. "He didn't come within a yard of me, and he scored a 12 o'clock center on you. Right through the necktie." Rand glanced down, then he burst into a roar of obscene blasphemy. $7.50 I paid for that tie, not 3 weeks ago," he concluded. "Does your grandmother make patchwork quilts? If she does, she can have it." "My God!" Varcek stared at Rand unbelievingly. "Why, he hit you! You're wounded!" "Only in the necktie," Rand reassured him. "I have a hole in my shirt, too." He reached under the latter garment and rummaged, as though to evict a small trespasser. When he brought out his hand, he was holding a battered .25 caliber bullet. He held it out to show Varcek and Ritter. "Sure," Ritter grinned at Varcek. "Didn't you know? Superman. I'm wearing a bulletproof vest. Mick McKenna loaned it to me yesterday," Rand enlightened Varcek. "I never wore one of the damn things before, and if I can help it, I'll never wear one again. I'm damn near stewed alive in it." "Think how hot you'd be right now if you hadn't been wearing it," Ritter reminded him. "Then you knew since yesterday that he would do this?" Varcek asked. "I knew one or the other of you would," Rand replied. "I had quite a few reasons for thinking it might be Dunmore, and one good one for not suspecting you." "You mean my dislike for firearms?" "That could have been feigned, or it could have been overcome," Rand replied. "I mean your knowledge of biology and biochemistry. If you'd killed Lane Fleming, there'd have been no clumsy business of fake accidents. Not as long as both of you ate at the same table. He'd have just died, an unimpeachably natural death." He turned to Ritter. "Dave, I'm going upstairs. I want to get out of this damned coat of mail I'm wearing. I want you to call Carter Tipton at the Jarrett place, and Humphrey Goode, and Mick McKenna, in that order. Tell Goode to get over here as fast as he can and come up to my room. Tell him we have to consider ways and means of implementing my suggestion to him." End of chapter 20.